Take a look at this digital canvas. We are watching it violently bloom from a blank space into dense wireframes and complex 3D structures. In a matter of seconds, modern AI platforms can now instantly generate almost any asset you ask for, from mobile applications to physical product renderings. But there is a trap hidden inside that speed. Left to its own devices, an AI model will always gravitate towards its specific mathematical biases. It leans heavily on a default aesthetic. This creates a difficult paradox for modern businesses. You can spin up an entire marketing campaign in 10 minutes, but without strict guidance, the assets you produce are going to look exactly like the assets your competitors just generated. Pumping out generic wireframes at light speed doesn't build market share. Unchecked, raw AI outputs actively dilute your identity, drowning your brand in a sea of identical algorithmic noise. To cut through that noise, you have to build a formal design system, a set of permanent constraints that override the model's defaults. A design system operates as a rigid mathematical rulebook. As generic gray inputs drift toward a blueprint grid, they emerge transformed into varied brand shapes. This architecture immediately rejects any output trying to bypass your formatting parameters. By locking in a design system, you shift the AI away from being a random image generator. It becomes a strictly controlled engine that only operates within your defined brand logic. Let's look at how we establish those rules. The workflow begins by uploading a foundational asset. Here, we're looking at a generated image of a highly stylized logo for a fictional energy drink brand called Future Fuel. From one upload, the AI executes an extraction process. The central vector splits, drawing lines to a vast network of blank nodes. These nodes extract specific hex codes, plot structural typography, and establish strict dimension lines and spacing measurements for every UI component. By uploading one simple image, the system mathematically generates a comprehensive context file. Every future prompt will now be governed silently by these mapped rules. With the rules established, we can transition from theory to a functional deliverable. We'll start by generating a complex website UI mockup. Because the design system is running in the background, the AI makes micro-decisions automatically. It applies the correct hex colors, structures the layout, and drafts brand-appropriate marketing copy without needing explicit instructions for any of it. This creates an incredibly fast iteration loop. If you want structural tweaks, like generating alternative hero layouts or replacing a static background with a looping video, you command the change using natural language, and the AI executes it while keeping the brand styling perfectly intact. If you need to fix a minor detail, you don't have to write a new prompt and wait for a fresh generation. You can use precise inline editing to adjust font spacing and alignment manually directly on the canvas, completely safe from breaking the underlying code structure. You are operating in an infinite creative sandbox. You can experiment rapidly, knowing the underlying rulebook mathematically prevents any deviation from your core identity. Web layouts are standard practice. The real test of a brand identity is maintaining true consistency across entirely different formats and mediums. The exact same algorithmic rulebook that built the website can instantly generate a multi-page corporate presentation deck, translating the typography and styling flawlessly. Those constraints successfully handle mundane corporate documents too. A secure retail invoice generated through the design system remains visually aligned with the high-end marketing materials. For custom motion graphics, an audio timeline automatically locks keyframe markers into positions, syncing animation with the spoken words. Expanding these markers reveals the exact hex codes and structural nodes established during extraction, binding the video to the same rules. True scalability requires your visual DNA to remain perfectly intact and recognizable, regardless of how wildly the requested output format changes. The final stage of the production pipeline is moving these tightly constrained visual mockups out of the design phase and into deployed environments. Once the visual structure is validated, you can export the underlying code base into a development environment like Claude Code. This is where you transition from a design mockup to a live product, connecting the databases and payment gateways needed for production. The utility of these tools reaches its peak when they systematize visual DNA, allowing a single brand identity to scale across every department simultaneously. Competitive advantage now shifts to the creator who defines the underlying rules, turning the AI into a heavily controlled scaling engine.